Hello my friends, Roger, Mu-d-fo-ssil Uni-ver-sity. Today going to be talking about the feathered serpent. Look at that. That's a feathered serpent. No legs. Very strange. And there's the feathered serpent. They said he had a crown of feathers that stuck up like this. And they have pictures of them all over the place. And I found them. I actually found them. You see, look at this. Look at that. Now, I had my friend Greg Morrison down on the East Coast went and looked up, because I discovered the East Coast dragon, and I'm going to go over in very good detail. It is extremely detailed, and there's a story that goes along with it that I just heard today, and I'm going to relay that to you because it's an ancient Indian story that they related to the early settlers. And I have another one that relates to Sleeping Giant State Park in Connecticut, where I am, that is also a story told to the original people that were here by the original Indians about the sleeping giant and how he got to be there. And also the story is told about this feathered serpent. And they said, the people right in this area said there was a dragon killed by the Great Spirit here. And you will see that's correct. You probably know what feathers look like. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, that looks like a feather to me, because that is a feather right there. I have it in my microscope right here. Now, what I think we are looking at is these little flutes coming off of the mainstay of the feather, as you can see there. And what else can we see here? All right, this is what I mean. This is the feathered serpent. There's his feathers. They come up like this. There's his frills. They call them the dragon frills. They hang out. Here it is right here. All right, now let's go and trace them all the way back. Hello my good friends, Roger here once again, Mu-d-fo-ssil Uni-ver-sity. Ever hear of the feathered serpent? Well, there it is, my friend. There is the feathered serpent. I am going to show it to you. And he has a crown of feathers sticking up off his head. Very, very well known in the past. And these are those fluty little feathers sticking up off of this feathered serpent's head. Now, I have some details about this dragon. Well, let's call him a dragon. However, there is no legs to this feathered serpent. Let's follow his throat down. This is where he would spit stuff out of his throat. Okay? Now, let's back it up, and there's his nose. Okay, so there's his nose. There's where it spits stuff out. This is all where his throat runs all the way down, and you can follow it all the way back up to Washington, D.C. And here it goes. That's a dragon throat. And as it goes down his dragon throat, it continues on like this. These are the flails that stick out of a dragon's chin. You see them in all the dragons. Now, this continues on and wraps around through this dragon's throat. As you can see, this is the dragon. It runs all the way around, all the way up the East Coast. All the way up the East Coast. You see that? And Greg went out and did the work on this. He looked it over. This is all dragon flails. And when we come in close, you'll see there, absolutely, he did the work. You know, I found this, and then I pointed it out, and Greg went out and did it. And, you know, I find the things all over the earth. And I have people all over the world now, literally, that are going out and doing the work. Because I can't do it. I can't get around much at all to do any of this stuff, to be perfectly honest with you. But it does need to be done, and mainstream refuses to do it. So we are doing it ourselves, and we're learning, and we're all learning together. And this comes all the way up the East Coast. You see this? That's all the way up, almost up into, well, it is into Canada, I think. You see, we're still into this fluty looking stuff. That's still dragon fluty. See, look at all that fluty stuff. Oh, that's just some kind of push this and that. No, it isn't. That is from a dragon. Right. And there is his head. And of course we followed all the way from the Potomac, which is literally, I believe, the excretory system, the Potomac in Washington, D.C. And the funny thing is, I've been down there sitting on the shores of the Potomac in the middle of the night back in 1968. And I could see where it might be the excretory system. Anyway, I was in the Army down there, Fort Belvoir, for a short time. Anyway, now, this is it's a dragon. And here is his fluty little feathers that stick up off of the head coming out of Little Rock. And here they go. There are those fluty feathers. Now, guess what we discovered? Well, I discovered it today and looking at some video on TV. There is hot springs here, and I believe it is what's considered the fountain of youth. And the reason I'm saying these things, I saw something on a channel on TV. I probably shouldn't mention anything about who it was or anything about it, because I don't think I'm persona. I think I am persona non grata, but I would just talk about what I did find. Okay, my good friends, what you are looking at here is a mud fossil. That is the size of it, so you can understand. That's a pencil over the top. Now I'm going to remove that. And this is, as you can see, the muscle fiber. Now, as we move down this way, we will eventually come to a point where the muscle fiber locks into the tendon. On both directions we can see that. See, that's the glue I always talk about. This right here, that's the gluey stuff. That's where the muscle wraps in and glues here, and then the tendons run down this way. It's what's called the abrupt transition. Now, what are we looking at here? Well, this is the face of the earth. Now, when you look at that, at first I saw this and I said, well, these are feathers. And because Greg Morrison is doing some fabulous work, we're going to get into that right now. I have a video that goes back a year or so. And then I did some work prior to that. Let's examine that, and then, because I have new information now. Now, the picture that I just showed you was of this, and that is of this. Whoops. Right here. That is the area we were in. And I mean, that's a good size area. This is the spot right here. Now, what are we looking at when we come down here? This is that muscle looking stuff. Now, at first I thought it was feathers, and it might be. You see this? These coming. That's the thickness of whatever it is. You see these little stripes in there? That is, like, I believe, some form of blood, or it's a different chemistry where they come together. Now, whether it's the feathers where they have the little fuzzy things and they come together, or whether it's muscle. Pennate muscle looks identical, really, to regular feathers. It really does. So I really don't know what I'm seeing here. You have to get on site and look and see what the actual chemistry is. You see that? Very, very interesting. All right, now let's look at what muscle looks like. All right, you can see the difficulty there is to decide whether it's muscle or it's feathers. I mean, feathers are basically the same. Now, you know, some of them it's obvious, but some of them it's not obvious. And you can see the tendons flare into the muscles. Okay, this is another type of dragon. This is not a feathered serpent. This is a regular dragon. It has a regular dragon tail. It has legs. It has big red wings. Totally different than the other dragon. And here's its throat. Here's the head. It has fluty looking stuff that runs down the side. They all seem to have that, the dragons. You see them in China. You can see this is all these little dragon scale looking things. Alright, running down the sides. Now here's his throat right here. Alright. So now let's just get a lay of the land. This is the dragon. There's his nose, there's his head, it comes all the way down. This is his throat right here. Now all of this stuff is how it runs off after it's dead and it bleeds out into the desert. And the demarcation is right up in here. We're going to see it exactly where it is. Below that is a giant fish that it was attacking. This giant fish right here. And this is the scales of the giant fish. That's his tail, and that's the scale, the fin over the top. And he attacked the fin with power. Alright, that is dragon spit, and it is nasty. You see this? Look at that. This is what came down onto that fish. It came out, and here's where it started to combust. Isn't that very, 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 very nasty stuff? That's very similar to the worst snake venoms. And then it ate into the fish's vital flesh. Now, the dragon is here, and it was killed by something that had a very sharp sword, apparently. Now, this is the dragon's throat. You see that? It runs all the way down, all the way down. You see that's the demarcation? It's right about here. And after that, it's all just runoff of bodily fluids, you see it? Now, coming down his throat, that is the throat. Now, I said something must have cut his throat. Well, I can see something cut his throat. Right there. That got cut. Now, that is not just accidentally his neck broke in half. No, that's not going to happen. Something cut that throat all the way across. That's what I'm taking from it. And because that happened, it bled like hell all over here. That's all red blood. So it was a red-blooded creature. And that's where it ran out. And I assume that is what killed it. You see all the black and the red, all this. You could go to any coroner or anybody that does autopsies. They understand these colors and exactly what happens with this. So I'm going to leave it at this for right now. But this giant, it goes all the way across here, almost all the way back to the Mediterranean. It goes way back to here. We'll just go back to here about 1,000 miles away and see the tail rotting away in the desert. Right there. But it does go way back to the end. This is still fluty feathers, and this is the fluty stuff way back here, all the way back to almost into the Mediterranean. You see that? I believe this is all fluty feathers too. Yeah. Maybe not, but it could be. Doesn't matter. Let's say it ends right there. So, time to look into this a little deeper. And I have a lot of information about this, and we have a lot of people working on this right now. And mainstream's not going to do it. And so we only can do so much, and that's what we're doing. And I have been doing it right along now. I've been doing this, and we all been paying for our own stuff. Nobody's been helping doing anything for us. So that's just how it's got to be for right now. And I think it's time. Well, let me put it this way: if somebody gets a hold of me to do a documentary on this. I discovered mud fossils. I was the first one talking about this 8 years ago, and went ahead, and then I got upset because nobody paid attention, and I had all the DNA tests done. I had all the stuff done. So if somebody really wants to do something with this and do a documentary on this, or I've been trying to find somebody, but haven't had any good responses. Now, you want to get a hold of me? It's Roger at Mu-d-fo-ssils.com. All right, thank you. All right, this is Greg again down in Townsend, Tennessee. Now, what this is, I'm not sure, but I have a feeling it's got something to do with a scaly creature, something like this stuff. Now, he sent me a whole batch of pictures with the whole feathers. Let me see if I can find some. Okay, my friends, this is the dragon scale right here. You see that hole? That's the vein. Right here. I got it right in front of you. See it? Right there. See it? That's the vein. Now, that's the black part. Now, we're going to move over to where the red part is. Right here. There's the red part. This is some kind of a reptile scale. Now, Greg, I want to say a couple things about Greg and Tyson and everybody that's been working with me now. They are really doing fabulous work. This is that scale. So this is not a feather. This is a scale. And that's the hook that hooks it in. And that's the scale. And they lay in troughs like this. I mean, I looked at how the architecture of it, how it works, and it's what it is. And that is where the blood services it to keep it alive somehow. Now, we also saw this from Greg, all right, and he sent me a whole lot of other stuff, and he went out and got it. So it's not like we're not doing anything here. Now, I'm not doing a whole lot. I did my work. I did this for 8 years, and I mean I did it nonstop. I mean, I'm talking nonstop. I mean, this is all the stuff I have, and I have every little bit. I have the DNA tests, I have the CAT scans, I have the anatomists, I have all that. And it's time to start looking at it. All right, this all started out because I discovered giant human beings, and I had them tested, DNA certified. The tests were done very, very carefully, and the results are that they are human, and there was 3 of them, a 36-inch wide or long fingertip, a long, and another fingertip, which was smaller. 2 huge giants, and it was done with ancient protocols, all that. It was very, very well done. And here's all the things. It was done by a company. They do this, and it was sent off to be sequenced and all that. So here is the actual things that were sent. All right, there's the lung. That's a human lung. That's the pleura. This is the fabric that coats all of life, basically. It's like a fabric, and I'm going to show it to you. It's keratins and keragens. Now, this is one of the fingertips. Now, this is the eroded one, and I did it just because I knew it was all part of the big hand. I have the fingertips from the other places in the hand, and the knuckles and the whole palm and all that stuff. But I wanted to see if it would still have DNA, and it did. And that's the bone silhouette pattern of a distal phalanges. Vein, artery. Arteries blow out. Veins do not. That little hook is where tendons hook in so the fingertips can do all their stuff. Let's see, they have these hooks right in there. That's how fingers hook in. And this is a left thumb. All right, now, and in addition to that, this was also sent. And these were taken out of the arteries, because I know where the artery and the veins are in these. That, my friend, is a fingertip from an enormous giant human, also DNA certified. That is the nail. It is literally, has the fingerprints, and here they are. Now, this is about 30 inches wide, 36 inches long. Now, what do we have here? Here's the fingerprints. See that? That's actually the fingerprints. This came off, right off of the side here. I smashed it off with a sledgehammer. Yes, I did. And that came off of the side, what wraps over this way. And there's the fingerprints. All right, now let's look at it in the microscope. I will show you an artery or a vein or something, but these are the fingerprints. This is what they call grip skin. You see that? Now let's look at it up in the microscope. We'll be looking at it up here. This is from another one I have here. Hold on, let me turn these lights off a little bit. It'll settle in a second. Give it a time. There it goes now. The key to looking at this stuff and getting the best shots is this. Is to be able to move your light around and get it. And then, of course, you got to have the right, you know, all of the right stuff, the color and, you know, the moisture and all that. Now, let's look at the, I'm going to take the microscope out of its holder and I'm going to put it over here and look directly at this big fingertip, the outside edge of this. See that? That you will see on every single bit of real, it's called fascia. And fascia can be your skin, it can be the pleura of the lung. And here's this, oops, this is a little too bright, hold on. Let me tone that down. All right, you see? That's what it is. Now, that's the outside surface. This is this big fingerprint. Now, I'm going to go to the inside surface. Now, this is underneath where it, again, a little too bright. All right. Now, you see all those little tiny holes? That's all where blood flows through this thing. Those are all blood vessel holes. Now, here's a red spot. Now I don't know where I took the blood out of it, but I got it from an area where it would be arterial blood, which is the red blood. It's going to be red and black. Let's see. Here's a couple of holes here that are, boy, I tell you, that thing really blows quick. Let me back it down again. All right, you see those little holes? All that, see, there you go, there's some good ones. All right, that right there is where blood supply comes in. Fingertips are dense with blood. And every time you see a hole, that's where blood was flowing at one time. Now, here's from that other big fingertip. You see this? There's a couple. I mean, this thing's loaded with holes. And of course, there's the fabric. You see, every time you go in these holes, down inside, it continues, because down inside is where the blood continued to flow. This was the outside skin and tissue, right there. This is skin. That's skin. All right. Now, you see, it's all over the skin. Now, on the bottom, now we're going to go down where the grip skin is. This is a tougher area. That's a much tougher area, the grip skin. And if you see over here, let me get the microscope. Hold on. If I look over here, this really is the grip skin. That's really where you see serious grip skin. All right, let's see what else we got here. That's all tissues from bodies, parts. You know, well, everything here is from body parts. See, that had gold in it. I got so many shots, thousands of shots. But this was all alive stuff at one time. It was all alive. And as they decay and degrade, they just change. See that? Look at that. That's just blood. The black and red is blood. I got a lot of them. There's just blood gushing out of them. I mean gushing. Now, how they can not understand that this was alive at one time, I just don't know. I really just don't know. I have to assume that they're not really being honest with themselves or anyone, and they were told to say something, and they just have to continue saying it. Oh, look at this. Where was it? Huh, that's an artery. You see that? And actually, when I got in real close, you can actually see the blood cells in there. I'm not kidding. Anyway, like I say, I've got so much of this stuff. Look at that. That's body chemistry. And you see all those crystals? The crystals start to grow, excuse me, as blood, the transition metals in the blood accumulate. And they accumulate in certain areas because of certain chemical changes that happen in that particular area. Look at that. I mean, seriously, honestly, I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And you see the different chemistry that collects in different, like these are nothing more than the blood vessels I showed you before that didn't have this in them. So why is this here? That came out of the blood, and this is, I think it's like sulfur, maybe a little bit of, I don't know exactly, but they accumulate. You see that? That's a serious accumulation, and other areas have nothing like that. You see the same sort of structure there, but absolutely nothing like that. And then this one here starts to fill in with quartz. Once they start to grow crystals, they start to change, you see? There's a piece of blood stuck in the middle of a crystal. This is the rind, I call it, which is the outside of fascia, really. It's what you present to the outside world. That's fingerprints. That's fingerprints from, I forget what it was. See? That's gold on a toe I have here. It just depends on the conditions to the spots where they were stabilizing. Now, that is what they call old red sandstone. And I have some here. I have, well, I suppose I should show it to you. I mean, we could do this all day long if you want. But oh yeah, there's this one. Look at this. Yikes. That's a blood vessel, and that thing is growing out of there. Now that, I don't know what it is, but I think it's part of the creature's something growing out of that creature. I don't think that's like a plant or something. I think that's coming directly out of that. I mean, it's kind of scary. You see that? There's another one. This one doesn't have it. It's on the same, this is a toe. Look at that. I don't know, some of this stuff gets a little scary when I go back looking at it. See that one there? See, whoops, where was it? Oh, I lost it. But this is this kind of matrix that is the collagens, keragens. It's the coating and the fabric of a creature's body. And inside it covers your organs and so forth too. It keeps you all straightened up. Now this is when I was doing the blood. I was doing some blood tests. Well, not tests, but looking into blood and. But it's blood everywhere. I mean, that's all blood. That all can be tested. That's like solid blood. I mean, that is blood as blood gets. And this was some stuff I did, some tests with copper inside of, see, this was a bone with some copper inside of different solutions trying to change its chemistry. And I could change a lot of stuff. You know, pretty much using telluric currents, the currents of the earth, which everything is. Once it's in a matrix in the earth, in mud and platypolar silicates, basically, a lot of salt, NaCl, sodium chloride. There's a lot of chemistry happens there. A lot of chemistry. Look at this. I'm forgetting, I forgot all of these. Look at that. Look at that. That's a fingertip. Isn't that amazing? What happens is the transition metals that are in your blood that transport different chemistry through your body to make you healthy. Once that stabilizes, it starts to grow, and it creates crystals around itself of its own kind. And then you get these variations and inclusions of all the other minerals and molecules that are in that area that have to be incorporated into that matrix. This is the surrounding rind of the fingertip. So much chemistry of blood in your fingers starts, whoops, what the hell is that? Starts to take over. It's, I mean, it's, and I have fingertips here, same thing. Here, hold on, I got one, hold on. Here's one right here. Now, you see this? That's a fingertip. All right, this stabilized, and that's actually the blood that dripped out. Can you see that? It dripped out the end and the tip of the finger, and that's where it squirts out of the vein, the artery. Now, where's my, there it is. I gotta get off of that. Alright, so now here we are on the, this is that little fingertip I was showing you, the finger. See that? Inside, that's inside where it's all eroded out. And you see these rods of quartz and so forth? They fill in where the blood vessels were. Now, this is going to be the tip. I'm going to have to hold it in a certain way you can see this. You see, that's the tip. That's where the blood is coming out of the tip. This is the actual garnets that are issuing out of the artery. Let me find it. I got a stand I should put this in. Yeah, let me put it in the stand. And never mind, you don't have to see this. It's what it is here it is right here. I'll get as close as I can. You see that? That's what's coming out of the tip of the finger. It's blood. And this is underneath where it has settled at the bottom. You see it? You see all those different colors? That is blood. Blood has all your transition metals in it. And they, as it stabilizes, see there's the garnet right there. That's the biggest crystal on the tip. But that's the whole idea of transition metals, is that they attract different types of vitamins and minerals. See, this is usually that happens inside your body. This time it's outside your body. But it's doing exactly the same thing. Identical same thing. It's attaching to vitamins and minerals. And in your body it would drag it around. And some other chemistry somewhere would say, boy, I would love to have that sulfur. And it would say, you got any electrons? And it'd say, yeah, I got a couple right here. I said, well, give me those and I'll give you that. And that's how it all happens. And your fingers are the source of so much blood. You have no idea. This is where it's busted off in the back. Let me see if I can find that. Here it is. Over to the left there, you see the brown looking spot. That right there is the artery. So I can't lock it in there. All right, that's it right there. That's where the artery is. But it's just a cacophony of different crystals and minerals and metals and fibers and it's an amazing world, my friend. Amazing. Okay, so don't forget, have somebody get a hold of me. I'd like to have somebody do a documentary. This stuff is just laying around out here. I have more specimens than you can possibly ever imagine. I have DNA certified tests. I have CAT scans we can get set up. I have anatomists have validated all this. It's time to get it exposed. I don't really care about anything for myself. I just wanted to have it exposed, and then I would like to have it taught. That have people investigate it. I don't want to teach anybody. Oh, look at this. You're going to have to say that's a fingernail, and you're going to have to say this. No, you see, this is what we found, and then we will document it, and then you can look at it and see what you think. And that's what I've been doing. But I've been heavily restricted. I can tell you that right now. So, thank you all, and to all a good night. Now, I did mention somebody, if they want to do a documentary, we have new species. This is a new no-toes, I call them. I discovered these here, and this is my specimen. And then Tish Egerton's found a ton of them. Within 15 minutes of seeing one of my videos, she went out and discovered these. And it's absolutely stunning what she has. And I have them here too. And they're all over the world. They're just everywhere. And the toes are inside. And I thought this was a shoe at first because of all this wrapping, but that is the fascia. That's the coating. And there's a gigantic one was on the web the other day, and you could see it had the exact same thing. They had it staked out to some rollers or something, but it was the same no-toe, just like that. And it was the size of like a bus. I'm telling you, that's what's going on now. All right, somebody get a hold of me. This should be known. All right, that's all I'm asking. Have it known.